Good morning, friends. I welcome all of you in this online lecture. Today, we are going to discuss about a poem, La Bella Damsel's Mercy. This poem is prescribed for TYBA compulsory English. The book is Literary Pinnacles, and in this book, we do find the poem in unit number 10, La Bella Damsel's Mercy. That means the beautiful lady without mercy. It's a poem, a ballad by John Keats. Let us think about the poem. Let us think about the poet first. John Keats is one of the poets from Romantic period. He belongs to the second generation of Romantic poets. He was a young poet. He was born in 1795 and died in 1821. That means he died at an early age. He was a young poet, and another poets from the second generation of Romantic period, they are Byron and Shelley. He lived very short span of life, but he left great poetry behind him. As far as his literary contribution is concerned, we have to think about a poem to autumn. It's a very good poem by John Keats where he describes the natural beauty. Ode to Ode to a Grecian Urn. It is another well remembered poem by John Keats in which he talks about the art, the durability of art. Next is that the Eve of Saint Agnes. Next poem, Ode to Nightingale, and even he has written a long poem that is Lamia. Here we are going to study his poem La Bella Damsel's Mercy. What is La Bella Damsel's Mercy? It's a French title. La means a, Belle means beautiful, Dam means damsel means woman, sense means without, mercy, mercy. That we have, but there is a little difference in spelling in English. A beautiful woman without mercy, that he has described in this poem. I would like to tell one incident from John Keats' life. That a younger brother of John Keats, he falls in love with a young beautiful girl from his class, but the girl did not respond his love, and he pined for that love, and he died in the same grief. So that thing affected John Keats, and then he composed a poem La Bella Damsel's Mercy. That means he just want to put a theory here that the beautiful women, generally the beautiful women are without mercy. That's why he gives an example in this poem. So as far as themes of the poems are concerned, the themes are that it's a poem about a magical experience. It describes a mood of enchantment. It is about quest or journey. It is about a love affair, and it has the theme of loneliness. La Bella Damsel's Mercy. As I told you earlier, that it is a ballad. So what is ballad? Ballad is a poem, a form of a poem that we say in Marathi, povada. So what that poetry does, it describes some event, some thrilling event. See, they tell stories. Ballads tell stories of love or pain. In our culture, ballad tells story about some chivalrous activity. But in English culture or in English literature, we do find that ballads are used to describe a story of love, or a story of some painful incident, a story of the greatness of God, that is described in simple language and with minimal details. Ballad. So, La Bella Damsel's Mercy is a ballad that definitely, now surely we have to assume that it is going to tell us some story of love or of pain, and in a simple language with minimal details. Now let us think about the stories. This is a poem. I'll read the poem from the book. You can see it here on the screen. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, alone and palely loitering? The sage has withered from the lake, and no birds sing. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, so haggard and so begone? The squirrel's granary is full, and the harvest is done. I see lily on thy brow, with anguish moist and fever dew, and on thy cheeks a fading rose, fast withered too. This is a question asked by a poet to knight at arms. Some knight at arms, he was loitering, so the poet asked him, oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms? What can bring you pains? O knight, you are armed, you are with your arm, so even you have a strength that if somebody comes to attack on you, you can dash that thing away. But though you are like this, why you are painful? What can ail thee? What is that thing that can ail, that can make painful to you? And because of that pain alone you are loitering here on the banks of the lake. Even the sage has withered on the banks of the lake, and the situation is not beautiful, the surrounding, the setting is not very good, very attractive, no birds sing. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, so haggard and so begone? You are looking such, what can we say, powerless. So what happened with you? The squirrel's granary is full, harvest is done. It looks that you have been snatched away, you have been squeezed by somebody else. The squirrel has pulled her granary and her harvest is done. So you looks like a field where the harvest has done. And why do I say like this? Because when I look at you, I see a lily on thy brows. Your brows are pale, they are just like lily, with anguish moist and pure dew. There is no moist, there is anxiety on your face, and on thy cheeks a fading rose. Even your cheeks are not bright, they are also pale, fast withered too, and it looks like the energy from your body, the energy from your face has gone away. Then the knight gives answer to the question asked by the poet. What he says that? What the knight says that? I met a lady in the midst, full beautiful, a fairy child. Her hair was long, her foot was light, and her eyes were wild. Now the knight start to tell that why he is looking pale, why he is loitering on the sides of that bank. Why it looks like that he is squeezed by somebody else? What he says that? What is the reason? The reason is that I met a lady before some time. I met a lady in the meads, in the meadows. I met a beautiful lady, and how was she beautiful? Full beautiful. She was so beautiful that she looks like a fairy child. Such beautiful lady she was. And where that beauty lies of that lady, her hair was her hair was long. She had long hair, and even her foot was light. So her beautiful posture is described, and her eyes were wide. Very important uh, feature of beauty is that beauty lies in the eyes, we can see. So the eyes were wild. Wild means not wild like some tiger and some lion, but they were uh, wild in the romantic sense. Now, what happened next? He continues his story. When he came across the beautiful lady, she was looking like a fairy child. At that time, what that knight at arms has done, knight at arms had done, I made a garland for her head. When he looked at that lady, when he met the lady, at that time immediately he offered some gifts to her. What were the gifts? I made a garland for her head. I made a garland for her head. And bracelets too for her hand. You can see in the picture. And bracelets too. And fragrant zoe. So because of that garland, because of that bracelet, there was a creation of a fragrant zoe. She was happy. Even she gave a consent for his love. She accepted his love. How can we say this? How can we claim like this? How can we argue that she has accepted his love? Because she looked at me as she did love. You see, she looked at me as she did love and made a sweet moon. It's a kind of consent on the part of that lady. So what happened with the knight at arms again? The next line he says that when he gave her some gift and she accepted those gifts, and she reflected her feelings through her eyes and made some sweet moons. At that time the knight advances. What he had done, I set her on my passing sorry I set her on my passing steed. He set her on his horse, and that horse was passing. That means he was walking with a rhythm. I set her on my passing steed, and nothing else saw all day long. So for that whole day, they were deep in love, and nothing else that happened with man fell in love. Man or woman fell in love. They saw nothing else. They're thinking about their lover and beloved. Same happened with the knight at arms. And nothing else saw all day long. For sidelong would she bend. She bent on one side on the horse and sing a fairy song. Even she accompanied him on horse ride, and at the same time she was singing a song. So again it indicates that she was also she had also had a same kind of feelings of love for him. Now what happened? She found me roots of relish sweet. She was responding him in such a way that he became, or he had a conclusion that she found me roots of relish sweet. The knight at arms thought that I was a kind of roots of relish sweet for her. She was taking interest in me. And honey, wild and manna dew. How was I? I was just like a honey, wild and manadu for her. And then what happened next? And sure, in a language strange, she said, what she said? In a strange language, use of strange language, use of code language. It is also one of the features of a man who is in love. So, what she said in a strange language? I love thee true. What she said that she did not say only I love you, but she said that I love thee true. I love you truly. So there is no doubt about the love. Now what happened? He described in the next stanza. It's a ballad, and a story is described. Story of the love affair of the knight at arms. What she says? She took me to her elfin grot. Elfin grot means cave or place where she used to live. She took me to her elfin grot, and there she wept and sighed full sore. That means weeping. It is again one of the features to indicate your true love for your lover. So when she wept and she sighed full sore at that time, Knight thought that the lady is in love with me, the beautiful fairy child is in love with me, and out of that feeling, because she had love for me, she was weeping and she was sighing. Sometimes she might be doubting about my departure or my parting or temporality of love. Such kind of doubt may be there in the minds of the lady. That's why she was weeping. So he understood all these things according to his own ways. That happened when a man is in love with somebody. At that time, he start to think according to his own whims without thinking what is happening outside. And there I shut her wild, wild eyes with kisses four. He kissed her. He kissed her 4 times. Particularly, he kissed her eyes. I closed her eyes. What he said that? And there I shut her wild, wild eyes with kisses four. He kissed her. And then she shut her eyes. She stopped weeping. What happened then? Now, let us think about next stanza. Okay. And there she lulled me asleep. And when he kissed her, when he exhibited his love emotions for that lady, at that time, she lulled her. She lulled me asleep. She lulled him, not her. She lulled him asleep. The knight slept there. And there she lulled me asleep, and there dreamed. And when he was asleep, he saw a dream. And what he saw in the dream? And there I dreamed, hey, oh betide, the latest dream I ever dreamed. And in that dream, he saw a frightful dream. What is that? The latest dream I ever dreamed. He had not dreamed such kind of dream ever. So what was that dream? I had a dream. Oh, the cool hillside. He saw in his dream on the cool hillside. What is that? What he saw? I saw pale kings and princes too. Pale warriors, death pale were they all. What he saw? In his dream he saw, I saw pale kings and princes too. Pale warriors, all of them, princes, kings, warriors, all were death pale. And they were crying. They cried, all of them. Suddenly they cried. He saw a dream, and in that dream, he saw those warriors, kings, and princes, and all, and they were death pale, and all of them they cried. What they cried? La bella damson's mercy hath thee in thrall. You are spelled. There is a magical effect on you. who had done that magical effect? All they cried, they suggested, they warned, they hinted night. What they hinted the night? That La Bella Damsel's mercy hath thee in thrall. You were spelled by the beautiful lady without mercy. The lady with whom you are sitting here, the lady who lulled you here, the lady who displayed her love, who exhibited her love feelings towards you, she was a lady. Though she was beautiful, she was without mercy, and she had lulled you. Now, sometimes you would be like one of us, because just they want to show that means their tone, the their cry indicates that we were also lulled by the lady, we were also enthralled by the lady, and because of that we were also in love with the beautiful lady, and because of that all of us are here. Similarly, you are going to be one of us, as you were also enthralled by the lady, you were also spelled by the lady. So they were just warning him, and when he was warned like this in a dream, at the time what he saw in the dream next, I saw their starved lips in the gloom. They were crying, and at the same time their lips were starved lips, thirsty lips. They were glooming in the gloom with hurried warnings gapped wide. Even their lips were gapped wide because they were giving horrible warning to the night. And when he got that kind of horrible warning in the dream, suddenly he woke up. And I awoke and found me here. And he was awoke. At that time, he found that he was not in an elfin grot. He was not in a cave where that lady has took him. Where he was, the lady had taken him. Where he was there on the cold hillside. He was there on the cold hillside. And because of this, he says, and this is why I sojourn here, alone and palely loitering, though the sage is withered from the lake and no birds sing. This is something about the poem, and now let us think about stanza 1. Critical analysis, we can say. In the first stanza, we find that the poet has asked a question to the night: what can ail thee? Because the night was alone, he was palely loitering, even the landscape was pale. The sage has also withered from. Okay. The sage has withered from the lake. The usual beauties of nature, that is, bird songs, are also absent. So it indicates that the land was also pale. In the second stanza, the question continues. The poet continues the question. The knight is unhappy. He was haggard, woebegone. The winter aspect is also described in second stanza. The squirrel's granary is full, the harvest being complete, the natural abundance against the night's desolation. We have to compare here. Now next, in the third stanza, we find that the knight's physical appearance, how he was looking, dying. He was pale, lilies on thy brow. You see, flower imagery is used here. Lily indicates, white lily particularly indicates death. Even the rose indicates beauty, but the rose were pale. The rose is fading and withered. So that rose imagery is used to describe the knight's predicament, the moisture and the dew. The dew indicates the perspiration on his forehead. The knight's misery is described here. His anguish is also introduced in the third stanza. For the fourth stanza, the narrator is night. Now the poet has asked question in the first three stanzas, and in the fourth stanza, the knight start to narrate his own incident. He explains his present condition. He tells that how he came across a beautiful lady, the Belle Dame, and her beauty. She was looking like a fairy child. Supernatural element is introduced here. When she is fairy child means she was equipped with some magical power now. Her eyes are also wild. So though they indicates beauty, they also stands for the element of danger. In the next stanza, stanza 5, his pursuit and her response. That means how he makes garland for her head, and bracelets for her hands. Then how she gives responses to him. His emotions are positive, happy, and loving. He gifts her garland and bracelet. The word as tells her deception. She looked at him as she did love. As means it is a perception of the night, not surety. As if she was looking. Her sweet moan is a response to his pursuit. Now, stanza 6. The romantic image is described in this stanza 6. What is that romantic image? Both of them, they are sitting in a horse, sitting on a horse. The passing state, the moments of love, her riding on a horse, her singing songs, all these indicates the romantic aspect of their love. Knight is also happy. He saw nothing else all day long. He was thrilled to her impression. So she was sidelong means she is sitting in a sideways on the horse. It's a typical traditional pose of a woman on a horse back. Now see in stanza 7. Her beauty seduces the knight. As she was beautiful, knight was seduced by her. She offers food and drink, roots, honey and myrrh, the products of natural world. And she expresses her love in a strange language, her strange language, the strangeness. I love thee too. The simplicity and brevity of her statement. In stanza 8, we find that the lady has taken him to Elfin Grot. The grotto means cave. Her weeping and sighing, an ominous note of sadness and darkness, and it produces an effect on the night. The poet has repeated the word here, wild, so to indicate danger. The knight was romantic in nature. He kisses her foe. But why foe? That we have to think. Stanza 9. And there, the phrase is repeated and it keeps a regular pace. Lulled means the knight is seduced. A obitide means her mood is, the mood of the poem or the mood of the knight at arm changed. And what is a dream? The cold hillside, an enthralled, unreal mood. It indicates enthralled and unreal mood of the poet. Now see in stanza 10, his dream, nightmare. When he was sleeping, at that time he saw a dream. What he saw? We see that Pell warriors, death Pell, the death motif. Pell indicates death motif. Kings and princes are Pell, when the warriors are pale, the widespread power for destruction and dissolution of a belladam. So she had made pale all of them. She is sans mercy. She is without mercy. She has so many in her thrall, so many kings, warriors, princes were thralled by the beautiful lady without mercy. Now in stanza 11, the nightmare ends with horrid image. The image is of the mouth and the ghastly figures of all these warriors, kings and princes. The lips were starved, means starved of more than food. The woman starves them of love. She loves nobody, only she entrapped them and she fixed them there. The knight awakes from his dream in stanza 11. From the heat of love to the cold hillside, he is no longer in the growth domain of La Belle them. He is out of the spell of that beautiful lady, and that is why where he is in stanza 11 we find that sage has withered, the same lines that we find in stanza 1. The sage is, there is a difference, sage has withered. Why the sage has withered? Now he answers here in this stanza, the sage is withered. The nightmare will continue forever, and no birds sings, and no birds sing. Stronger resonance, a powerful image, the dissolution of the knight's predicament. Now you see, this is a ballad. It's a story, mysterious and dramatic story. There's use of dialogue, 4-line stanzas are there, and the writing scheme is ABCB. Lines first, second and third have 4 foots and 8 to 9 syllables, 4 feet we can say, and 8 to 9 syllables, and line 4th has 2 to 3 feet and 4 to 5 syllables. First stanza, line 3 and 4, it's a direct contrast with second stanza, line 3rd and 4th. Now analysis. 4 voices. There are 4 voices. First, in stanza first, second and third, we do find the voice of a poet. In next stanzas, from 4 to 12, we do find that the knight is speaking. In stanza number 7, line number 4, the lady sings. The lady speaks. She says that I love thee true. And in the fourth stanza, fourth voice is that the unified voice of the pale kings and princes. What they said that the beautiful lady without mercy has enthralled you. In stanza number 9, line 3 and 4, there is a voice, unified voice of the pale kings and princes and warriors. Repeating the central question. In first and second stanza, we do find the question is repeated. O knight at arms, what can ail thee, knight at arms? What can ail thee, knight at arms? So, because of that repetition, there's a emphasis, and the repetition is an incremental repetition. It is a characteristic of a ballad. Even there is a repetition of the word "pel" in overall the ballad. The knight's dream, that is described in 8.5 line. All the men are powerful, kings, princes, and warriors, but now they are death pale. Their paleness associates them both with the loitering pale night and with death. The consequences of dream, the last 6 lines. The impact of the lady on the night is clear. Her character remains shadowy. The knight never got to know her. The lady belongs to a tradition of feminine fatals. She seduces the knight and others with her beauty, with her accomplishments, with her wall of love, and with her sensuality. The vision of the pale mane suggests she is deliberately destructive. This destructiveness of love is common theme in the ballad. Now, image of death. There are certain images of death. Lilies, faded, withered. So all these words indicates death image. He may well be dead or ghostly. He is doomed on the cold hillside. The cause of his fate is a mystery that adds to the poem's aura. Repetition of words. First stanza repeated in the last stanza. A circular movement. It indicates circular movement. And this connection of the opening and ending adds the effect of the poem. In this poem, kids try to elaborate unsuccessful love life, his complex relationship with Fanny Brown, that also can be reflected in this poem. So this is something about the poem La Bella Dame Sans Merci. Thank you.